Hey, welcome to this video. Today what we're going to be talking about is fixing cymbal cracks, more specifically edge cracks. Now these are cracks that propagate inwards from the outside of your cymbal. Now I know, big words, but don't worry, because if you catch them early, they're very easily repairable with a couple simple steps. Now stick around to the end of this video because I'm going to be showing you what the sound difference is between repaired and non-repaired. The results will definitely surprise you. Now if you're looking for a repair video on cracks that happen around the bell of your cymbal, there's a link to it here and also down in the pinned comment. In my experience, those repairs only lasted about 6 months before I had to redo them, and roughly another 6 months after that before I completely retired that cymbal. Whereas the edge cracks that we're talking about today last much longer. You can see I've done a couple repairs already on this one, and that was a few years ago. Now before we get going, my name's Martin. If you like this type of content, leave a thumbs up, leave a comment on how your cymbal repair journey is going. Maybe there's a step that you found that works a lot better that maybe I don't even know, or some other commenters might not know. And of course, by subscribing, you can help grow the channel to a bigger audience. With that being said, let's get into it. First things first, let's talk about how to find these cracks. Now personally, about every 2 to 3 practice sessions, it's a good idea to check your cymbals for cracks. Now it's really important to catch these early so they don't get too out of hand. The main reason is so the repair doesn't change the sound of your cymbal too drastically. You can do this by running your fingernail along the edge of your cymbal while spinning it slowly. If there's a crack, you'll both feel it and see it. Pro tip, start at one of the logos and then work your way all the way around until you're back at that logo. Then you know you've got a full rotation. Now you might hear the difference too. The cymbal might sound a little bit more dull or have a shorter decay on it. In this case, I have 2 cracks. One is fairly small, maybe 1 or 2 millimeters, and the other one is a little bit bigger than that, maybe like 2 to 3 millimeters. But now that we found our crack, let's talk about what tools you're gonna need. You're gonna need a Sharpie to mark the end of the crack. Next, you'll need a drill, which is optional, however, I'm gonna be using it in this example. The drill bit is pretty small, this one is 3/32. It's good to always start small. If you wanna go bigger, you can. If you're using a drill, it's probably a good idea to have a piece of wood to set your cymbal on top of when you're drilling. That way when you drill, it won't go through to anything that's of value underneath. Next, you'll need a metal file. This one has a radiused edge. That's something that you'll need. You could also use a Dremel tool, but I don't have one, so. And finally, a little bit of sandpaper. I'm using 100 grit here. It can be anything around there. Now that we have our gear, it's time to start. Let's flip to the underside of our cymbal. That way, when it's sitting on a table, you have a flat surface that you can work on. Also, it's a little bit cleaner on the underside. On the top, you might have stick marks and all that sort of stuff. The underside, you're probably gonna have an easier time finding the cracks. Next, we're gonna take our Sharpie and mark on the cymbal where the crack ends. This is gonna be a visual indicator on how much material we're gonna be removing. In this case, the one crack is more visible from the top, so I'm gonna mark there, and then I'm also gonna mark on the bottom. The larger crack is visible on both sides. I'm gonna mark both the top and the bottom. Okay, so now that we have that marked, we're gonna drill a small hole at that same location. This is gonna be really helpful for when we're filing this down because the goal is to file out the material just past the drilled holes. Now, if you don't have a drill, you can probably skip this step. Using a file, just make sure you go past those marks and you should be fine. Okay, change of plans. We've got one hole drilled. The other one, it's close enough to the edge that I'm just gonna use the file for it. So let's grab our metal file and slowly start removing material from the outside edge of the cymbal, just past where this drilled hole is. Along the way, you're gonna wanna contour the edges so that the transition back to the regular diameter of the cymbal isn't too dramatic. This way, you'll be less likely to bend those areas when you hit the cymbal. This could cause even more damage. Ugh. Again, we're gonna work with a cymbal on the underside. That way you'll have a flat surface when you're removing the material. I'm just gonna take the curved edge and start working my way in. Now we're gonna move on to this one. I don't know if you can see it, there's a bunch of burrs just on the edge there. There you go. That's kind of visible there. Just gonna take those off. Perfect. Okay, so we've got those all taken care of now. The next step is to run some sandpaper along the edges of the material that you just removed. I'd recommend staying around 100 grit sandpaper. You can use anything below or above. It's not that big of a deal. But this is a very important step because these edges are pretty sharp and kind of gritty, so you'll be going through a lot more sticks if you hit this area. Also, if you go for a cymbal grab, you're probably gonna cut your hands up pretty good by just like So we want to smooth it out so it feels like the rest of the cymbal. You can run your fingers along here all day and it won't get cut up. Here, I'm not too sure about that. Ow. Okay, let's go. Cool. Yeah, check that out. My hands are fine. So, there you have it. We just smoothed out these edges, so now if you go in for a cymbal grab, you're not gonna chop your hand off. Or, if you go in for a big old cymbal hit, you're not gonna chop up your sticks as much. And guess what? You just saved yourself from buying a brand new cymbal. They're pretty expensive these days, and these simple repairs will last years. Now there's only one thing left to do. Let's toss this back on the kit, mic it up, and we're gonna do a comparison of what it sounds like before the repair and after the repair. I don't know about you, but it definitely sounded pretty similar. Hey, I hope this video was helpful for you. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, recommendations, leave them in the comments down below. I'd be happy to get back to you. And with that, thank you so much again, and we'll see you on the next one.